Well, we do have a quorum here.
Someone did just join the coach.
Did somebody just join us?
Hi, this is Kate.
Oh, thanks, Kate.
Hey,
So,
okay.
Most have people complain about the
the
process.
first order of business I'm going to do then is to ask permission for Kate to be with us at the infrastructure meeting by teleconference. And I need a motion by Rob.
Say second.
You have given us a second, Betty. Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, so welcome, Kate. Glad to have you here. And,
Thanks.
Are you going to be available tomorrow? Kate, are you going to be available tomorrow?
I am not sure. I will be in Mexico, and I'm not sure how well
Okay,
I'm going to be able to
I
connect.
understand. It's for another reason because most likely I'm not going to hit it 2 days in a row out like this, and Jimmy can probably handle our meeting.
Okay, thank you.
In reporting and so forth. All right, approval of the minutes. First thing, and you guys, if I make some mistakes, remember I'm recovering from a head injury, although I had many problems before that as well. The approval of last month's minutes.
Yes.
Motion by Betty.
Same.
Seconded by Rob. And looking over these minutes and so forth, did anybody come across any errors or corrections of something that they see along the way? If not so, I'm calling for the question on this, and that is approval of these minutes. And welcome, Mr. Dillon. And all those in favor of accepting the minutes of the last meeting signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, Kate. Where are you calling from now, Kate?
Bloomington, Normal.
All right, you're right. You're in the Twin Cities over there. Okay. We have our informational items, and Brian is here from the sanitary district for us. And something I've got two things up here that I'm going through. And does anybody have any questions or comments, or do you want to make any comments, Brian?
None today, thank you, Mr.
All
Chairman.
right. The only thing that I marked on mine was I noticed that you had some visitors, observers, and so forth. When you guys gave advice to this one woman from St. Vincent de Paul Society about billing that tenants could use, perhaps, what advice did you give to them about helping these people pay bills and so forth?
Right, so the St. Vincent de Paul Society came down to one of our meetings, asked about tenant assistance. We have a low-income water assistance program paid for by one of the COVID programs the federal government put into place. So information about that is on our homepage of our website, so I encourage anybody that needs to go on there and they can find out all the details on how to apply for that. So that's really the best avenue for payment for people who are behind on bills. So that's one, probably the greatest impact you can give for groups that are trying to help the low-income assistance program.
Okay.
What was that website again?
Just go to gpsd.org, and right in the very top of that web page, you'll click on low-income assistance program, and it'll take you right to the place to apply for that. It's actually run through PCCEO, so, but our link takes you right there.
So,
Go ahead.
if it's a senior who doesn't have access to computers, is there a contact?
Whoever it is at PCCEO.
Okay.
And I can email you later. I'll email you the name directly.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Brian, did I understand you? Basically, it's low income as well as COVID.
No, just really low income. It was one of the COVID relief packages.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Brian? Mark is up next. Give me a chance, Mark, here, and I'll. Anything I had for you? Okay, go ahead, Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple new additions to the list, and we've completed a couple things. We're still waiting, of course, the top of the list, the new AV system upgrade. We're still waiting on parts. Some of our equipment has come in, some of it has not, and we can't start that project next door and in this room until everything's here. We're still looking at summer or later. A new one I added is, since our last meeting, we've got an issue with one of the domestic hot water boilers at the jail is currently down. PO has been issued to repair that, and parts are on order. So the decision was made, that's one of the newer ones, so the decision was made to fix that. Another new one is a project which will be coming up as a resolution later on in the meeting, the 2022 CLIP project, and we will talk about that. And the space optimization project for Public Defender and IT continues to move along. We've been working with Dewberry on those, looking at proposals and working through that. I've been working with Scott on that. A couple other things going on. We've got a tree removal PO we just sent out at Hannah City Work Camp. Calvin coordinated and got the bids on that for around the fencing and the edge of the farm field to get a bunch of trees are growing over into the field, and we need to get that trimmed up. So that'll happen as soon as they can get out there and get that done between the time that before they get in the field, but yet dry enough to take care of that.
It's hanging over from our property.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Over into the field. So, and it's coming off of our property. So they're going to go around the perimeter of that entire fence and remove a lot of trees out around there. So, and get those out of there. So, we did get a couple bids on that and went with the lowest bid to get that fixed.
I want all you guys to, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I want all you guys to think, how can we dump that piece of property?
It becomes a challenge every year, keeping things mowed and everything trimmed up, and we're actually got a challenge right now. Is usually the park district handles that. They're short on people. We're hoping they'll be able to keep it mowed. Last year we only got it mowed a few times, and then it got kind of out of hand. And so yeah, it's constantly getting complaints. We try to keep the front fences all cleaned up and sprayed, and the weeds, but you know, it's one of the things that we continue to dump money into to keep it maintained, and Calvin's doing a good job at doing that. So anyway, Calvin is here today, our facilities manager. If anybody has any questions about anything specifically with him, I just want to thank him and his team. It's that time of year, as you know, when it's 80 degrees one day and 40 the next, and to keep these buildings halfway at a decent time, temperature during that time is a challenge, and they've been doing a good job of focused and keeping that going. Been focused on the courtyard out back. We have a full-time person now working out there, and I don't know if you've walked around and looked, but all the flower beds are cleaned, looking a lot better. Our goal is to get the fountains going. Across our fingers, we've got some issues. And we're also still waiting on notification on a grant we applied for. There's a lot of repairs that need done outside, electrical, plumbing, concrete, to the tune of about $2.7 million, a list of items we have that need done. And we applied for some grant money to hopefully start on that. But eventually we're going to have to come back and start looking at some things outside, because we've got some concrete issues and stairs issues and stuff. So, anything you want to add?
I think you covered it all.
The what?
I think you covered it all.
Yeah.
Mark, that's one thing I hope you guys really stay on, because we've already had some messages about the temperature in the courtrooms and things such as that. And I would say all the air handling in operation, they're all
Yes.
with the snap of the weather, let's face it, weather, if you don't like it, it'll stick around because it'll change. And it could be
Is that the board member?
in the 80s
Yeah.
and 90s next week. We don't know the way we are here in our state. And so I hate to get these messages from people that say, what's being done. You know, we can't take, you know, these jurors into these courtrooms when it's, you know, 85 and 90, and they shouldn't have to, you know, make decisions in this type of situation and so forth. And so you guys stay on it, and I'm glad you're thinking about that and so forth.
Yeah, Calvin did confirm that both chillers were on Saturday.
Yes.
Both of them were on, providing cooling when it got warm. So we always cross our fingers in the spring as all that as it takes time to get all those systems ready. Those are all drained and put away for winter, and we're ready for warm weather, and then it cools off again. So anyway, any other questions?
Did we ever fix the sign at the sheriff's department?
The what?
The sign at the sheriff's department?
Yes, that was replaced.
Okay.
Month, was put in a month or two ago.
Almost 2, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
I don't see the sheriff here. We had many discussions about that. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Going to our next order of business, we have 5 resolutions. First of all, coming, pardon me, I got another item to discuss under information. Interrupt me when I'm doing something wrong, people. Students always did because they love to correct teachers. Anyway, we got an informational item from our highway department, and Jeff and Amy are both here. And if they, either one of them wants to speak to this item, please do so.
I can take that, Mr. Chairman. IDOT recently audited our motor fuel tax and our township motor fuel tax funds for 2020 and 2021. They didn't find any issues, so they always ask us to present it at the next available meeting. So here are 4 different reports, all kind of came in around the same time period. So if you have any questions, we can attempt to answer them.
And they'll audit us whenever they want to.
They usually do. It's on an annual basis. Several years ago, they went about 7 or 8 years before they did it. It kind of took a lot of work getting things straightened up and cleaned up. But now they're a lot more adamant about getting it done right after the end of the year. Makes it easier for us.
Okay, anybody with a question? Okay, we'll start our resolutions. The first resolution we need a motion on has to do with the land surveying service. Motion by Betty, seconded by Rob. And Jeff, you've got, I think, practically all these, haven't you?
Yeah, I'll take most of them, sir. So we don't have a surveyor on staff anymore. We don't have the need to have a full-time surveyor. So as surveys come up that are necessary for odd things, we like to have more occur. We like to have a surveyor on the agreement. In agreement. And a couple years ago, we did QBS with Moore and Kerr, and since that time, we've done a couple different 3-year programs with them. We like their work. They are very responsive. They get it done quickly. They have good fees. So we would like to, the most recent agreement expired in 2021, so this is just a re-up for another 3 years.
It all comes out of motor fuel tax?
Not all of it.
Not all of it?
If it's a bridge-related item, like we have a couple bridges, we have them survey for us occasionally to monitor them. That'll come out of county bridge, but we are appropriating $30,000 just in case there's something a little more substantial that would qualify for motor fuel tax.
So you're asking for 30,000 for 3 years. If you only use 5,000 the first year, then that would carry on over the other $5,000 for the second year or the third year.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so it's flat $30,000 for 3
It's-
years, no matter when it could be used. It could be used in the third year totally.
Yes, or we could not use any of it.
Yeah,
So,
I understand.
Yep.
It's not a case if you don't use it, you look at that, some people say, well, it's $10,000 a year. No, it's $30,000 for 3 years. Any other questions for Jeff? All those in favor of adopting this resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
Thank you. All those opposed? Ayes have it. I forgot to call on you, Kate. All right. Our next resolution has to do with a good project right here in the city of Peoria, and that is Sheridan Road, which we got a motion by Betty, seconded by Rob.
All right, so PUATS, or Tri-County Regional Planning Commission, our next funding round for surface transportation block grant funds is coming up for FY25 and FY26. So PUATS did a call for projects. We're currently in that process. I have our application almost ready to go. It has to be submitted by Friday. We're going to apply for Sheridan Road between Northmore and Glen Avenue, which is still a county highway. Road carries about 10,000 vehicles a day, but it's still 2-lane rural cross section. So as part of the application, they ask for a resolution of support from the board, council, whatever agency you're in. So this resolution is just showing that the county board supports our application, and this is not a guarantee we're getting this. There's a lot of good projects going to be submitted, so this is just the first step of applying.
This would, same standards, just bringing it up to urban standards.
Yes.
So
Look at
the
3 lanes.
ditches would go away.
Yes. 3 lanes, curb gutter, sidewalk, bike trail, real similar to what we're going to do on Glen.
And it seems like, do most of the easements or the right-of-ways, does it usually go to where utilities are? Like where the fire hydrants? Is that usually
very
about where?
close. Power poles. I was actually looking at Google Earth today. Power poles. We have 80 feet through there, so.
I would say there's quite a bit.
There
It
is
seems like there's a
quite a
big
bit.
distance between the road and where
Right.
those are. So
Yeah. So I think the power poles and the water line will be safe when we get there. May have to do a little adjustment here and there.
so you probably won't have to acquire much property then.
No, we have maybe a couple easements if the driveways are steep or something like that. So, but no, we shouldn't have to have any right of way. Just a couple easements.
And the bid on this would go out.
A long way from now.
We got all the engineering and so
Right.
forth to do before that.
Yes. So if we're approved for the money, we would look at a bid letting probably in. This is a lot of money, so it may take both the allotments for 25 and 26. So we may be looking at a letting in June of 25.
25.
Or no, sorry, fiscal years. June of 26.
Yeah, we're looking at a ways off.
We're looking at a ways off.
So that'd be 27 construction.
Or late 26. Start late 26.
And then when will we know if this is approved? You know,
In the next couple months. So applications are due on Friday. I'm thinking probably June or July. Just depends on the Tri-County schedule.
And we're looking to get 40% out of the federal government.
70%.
70%. Okay, thank
That's
you.
good.
70%.
A total of 70%. Okay.
Yes.
so what would be the total cost of that bill?
Just construction, we're estimated at 8.25 million just for construction. So engineering will be substantial. So as well as construction and design engineering. So
10 million.
10 million, yes.
Okay, any other? Jimmy?
Amy and Jeff, so after we can get this project approved, and with the ones that we have currently in the pipeline, like Glen and Gale or Lake,
Jim,
So what
can
it-
you speak a little louder?
so with the projects we already have allocated, what is this other, maybe Park Road, what's that leave inside the city of Peoria?
There's a piece of Willinolls,
Radnor Road,
Radnor Road.
Kerner Trigger,
So a few.
a few.
there's
Is it
But
one-
the inner city stuff that's what we really want to get out of, is the inner city half-mile block, quarter-mile blocks in the city of Peoria. It's just frustrating.
Is it Will Knowles between Allen and University?
correct.
All of my
all
districts.
from University to 150.
Yeah,
All of
that's
those.
all counties, but to upgrade it would be the Allen to University
Yeah.
piece.
Any other questions? All those in favor of adopting this resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Thank you. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Our next resolution has to do with our cooperation with the city and handling some of their structures and so forth. Motion to get this on the floor by Rob, seconded by Betty.
So we entered into an intergovernmental agreement with the city in 2012 for the county to do the bridge inspections for the city. City only has a handful of bridges, maybe 10 or 12. The agreement expired in 2017 and was renewed then, and this is a new agreement. It would expire, the current agreement expires in June 1st. If this is passed by the board, this will go till June 1st of 2027.
And this is a no charge by us.
Correct.
Yeah. We were off some favors that they do for us. Everything seems to mesh okay. Anybody with any question on this particular resolution? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Kate?
Aye.
Thank you. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Moving on to our next resolution. The motor fuel tax and repair of some of the guardrails. Made motion on that. Motion by Betty,
Yes.
second by Rob.
We went through several years ago and replaced almost all of our guardrail across the county, but guardrail being what it is, it keeps people from going in ditches, and a lot of it is smashed up again. So it's not nearly as bad as we had because we had old standard stuff. So this appropriation is to go out and repair areas that have been damaged. We also have a section on Smithville Road between Airport Road and the area down by Hardee's and Hammers, things like that. Lauterbach Park is along there. They just built a pickleball court, and about a week after they got their new fence up, someone drove off the road and smashed their fence. So now they're asking for a guardrail to be inserted there. So we are going to include that section of guardrail with our repairs. We're looking at a bid letting of June 10th, and we should have work done by the fall. So, IDOT requires us to this is the first time anybody's seen this, so IDOT requires us to appropriate the funds before we do a bid letting. So you will see this again after the bid letting.
Jim?
I don't know this to be factual or not, but do we recoup any of this money from damages from insurance companies?
We have, yes.
We have, when we get an accident report and they actually have insurance, we try to collect that.
So out of this, how much is recoup money, do you think? I mean,
Small percent, 15% maybe, not a lot.
Because we don't always know. People hit it and drive
Hit it,
off.
run.
We don't always know who did it.
so is that something our staff has to deal
Yeah,
with the insurance company and go after?
Yeah, we try to go after them.
Any other questions? So you will be putting up some new areas, but most of it's going to be repaired.
Yes, just one new area on Smithville Road. The rest are all repairs.
Okay, all those in favor of the resolution being adopted signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those,
Aye.
thank you, Kate. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Moving on to our last resolution with the Highway Department. We have one way out off of US 40, and it's in that Cedar Hills Drive area, and we need a motion on that. Motion by Rob, seconded by
Yes.
Dylan. Dylan finally woke up. You know, anyone who doesn't like to sleep in class. Raise and say it.
We intend to put out a bid letting for resurfacing of Cedar Hills Drive, essentially from Route 40 down to the bridge going towards Mossville, Bristol Hollow Road, just a little bit past that. We have Herman Associates working on the design right now. We are also looking at doing the bid letting for this on June 10th when we do the guardrail letting. This is the same thing. IDOT would like to see an appropriation before the bid letting. So we're appropriating the funds, and you will see this project back in June.
Questions for him? Go ahead, Jim.
So I see it said, I would assume so, but this is gonna take care of the shoulder issues that we've had on there.
Yes.
Cause I know it said shoulders in there, but.
Yes.
Which, and if nobody's driven over there, when they talk about having to maintain that, there's places that have 18 inches or better drop offs, I felt like.
Our maintenance crews are going to have to go in. They're going to fix some erosion stuff and some of the revetment mats undermined. We're going to have maintenance do that work because if we include it in the IDOT contract, we're not going to get it done this year. So our intention for the plans is to completely mill out the paved shoulders, put new paved shoulders back, mill and overlay the surface, and then where the gravel shoulders are, we'll just finish that up with some new fresh gravel shoulders. But the paved shoulders that are bad are going to be completely removed. And there's some asphalt curb out there too that'll be removed and replaced with concrete curb.
I thought the highway department did a good job in thoroughly discussing the needs of the people out there, because they showed you with the photos and so forth what a winding road it was, and how the weather and the wear and how it had broken up and so forth, and how badly needed this is, and this is a good service to these people who not only live in this area but who transfer across to reach other spots and so forth. Any other questions? All right. Looking at this resolution, all those in favor of the adoption of this resolution signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Moving on. Thank you, Highway Department, unless you guys want to make some other comments and so forth. All right, Mark, it's yours. And we need to get a motion to allow you to make a presentation in regard to the fire alarm inspection here at the Peoria County Courthouse. And the motion is by Betty, seconded by Rob.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In front of you is pretty straightforward. Johnson Controls supports and does the inspection of the fire alarm and life safety system here at the courthouse. That contract has expired. We have a new 5-year proposal from them, and that's in front of you today for them for the yearly inspection of all the hardware and equipment, and then I believe it's twice a year on any of the battery backup systems. So.
Okay. This is Johnson Controls. And it's a 5-year deal, around $28,000. So if you think that's a reasonable bargain, we'll do what is recommended, I hope. Questions for Mark?
Yeah, Mark, will the inspection start immediately since the
Once it's
contract ends?
right. Once we're due for an inspection, so once the board approves it, that's why I have it, we set the contract to begin in May. So, yeah,
So
once you
during
guys.
that period is when you.
Yeah, and then it'll be, they run from May this year to April of next year, so that'll be its year window, and they'll inspect within that year.
Within that window?
Yep, yep.
Okay, yeah.
And it'll take us out to April 27.
Okay.
So, yep.
Do they come back and inspect, let's say something happens here? Do they come back and re-inspect? Is that included? Let's say there's a small fire here. And
If we have issues, we do bring them back. I mean, they maintain and support the system. It's their system, they put it in. So I would say Yes, if there's an issue, they would come back. There's also a built-in discount on any parts and repair. That's part of that, signing that, so,
That's all part of the.
yeah.
This $5,000 that we're gonna give them each year, they would come back upon our request at any time.
If we've got an issue,
Yeah.
right, but it has to be inspected on a yearly basis anyway to make sure it's functional. Same way we do at the jail. We've got a different company that handles the jail and does all those inspections, so. I believe I brought that to you last year, so.
Any questions? No more questions for Mark? I'll call the resolution. All those in favor of adoption of this resolution signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. All those opposed? Ayes have it. We have the next resolution, and this is something that we haven't delved in too much, but it's called CLIP, which is Competitive Large Incentive Project. Need a motion to proceed on this resolution. Motion by Betty, seconded by,
With one correction.
with one correction, okay.
The resolution should say, instead of ECHI, it should say ECSI.
ECSI, that's one thing we were gonna ask
Where
you
at?
a question about.
Oh, there you go.
ECSI.
Up in the whereas.
Yep, I see.
Yep.
I see it. It's there also.
I think that was the only.
It's on, yeah, it's on the agenda brief too. It's the same thing.
Just for legal purposes, make
Absolutely.
sure the name of the
Really,
company is right.
I'm glad you're so proficient and knowledgeable in this area that you help us because I had asked Scott, and Scott and I were discussing what does this ECHI stand for. So it should be ECSI.
Yep.
Okay.
Environmental Control Solutions,
Solutions, yep.
Inc.
Solution.
We can fix that.
Okay.
This is Scrivener's error.
Thank you.
I can't take full credit. A little birdie might have told me.
Oh yeah.
I wish somebody would have told me before I submitted it.
Don't worry, I just found out about an hour ago.
Meyer.
Okay. Is Becca here?
Oh, yes.
Okay. I didn't look back there to see Becca. All right, go ahead, and we'll let whoever wants to speak to this.
Becca actually did all the legwork on this, so she gets the credit for this. This started last September, so if you want to join me, I'll let her talk through the process and a little bit about the program and how it works, and then we can talk through the financial end of it.
And ECSI, yes.
Right.
So ECSI, as you know, is the sister company to Rule. So this is the first competitive large incentive project that we've tried to do through Ameren Incentives. And this follows the feasibility study that we started last August, the very end of the air conditioning season, the cooling season. That feasibility study is in rough draft form and is not quite completed, but there was still some information that was able to be gathered from that by ECSI in helping to write this, or actually writing this competitive large incentive project. With this, it is upgrades to the chilled water system, controls essentially 22 VAV controls on air handlers 13 and 14, which cover the crime lab is 14, and then 13 is like intake and transfer. Is that right? Transport. Those areas are covered. The chilled water upgrades are pressure transducer and then a two-way bypass control on the chilled water loop to better control the flow going to air handler, or the humidification and cooling. Again, just making it easier to control the temperature across those air handling units 13 and 14. The incentive was $25,659 approximately. There's a little bit of variation in there, depending on if we get it done in time with supplying issues, but we went on the long end of it with only a 5% additional payback for early incentive instead of a larger percentage, accounting for some delays. And that is about 35 to 36% of the project with a return on investment of about 3.8 years.
Questions? Kate, this is your area. You got
I know,
any-
I'm really glad to hear about this. Thank you, Becky.
My pleasure. Of course.
Now, Becky, when they say total energy savings, $12,000, is that the total through all the years or just
Every year.
Tom,
It's an annual savings.
Right.
It's each year we're going to
Tom,
save 12,000.
Tom from Rules here
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
If you want to.
It's an annual savings.
Each year we're going to save $12,000. Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Not over a 4-year period of time, but
Mhm.
So cost is kind of volatile right now,
Yeah.
so it could be more.
each
Right.
year it's 12. Well, I'll take any savings.
Right.
But
It's good.
thank you for Becca working with these people and accomplishing this for us.
Coach, it's going to be, I would venture to say, well, more than that, because the MISO market just sold and
Right.
it went up 47%. So be prepared for considerable higher electric bills this summer. So this is kudos to the team, because this is exactly the type of stuff for long-term sustainability that we should be doing. So hopefully, I know we've made huge inroads in years going towards our system controls and doing
Mhm.
other things. So with both of these companies that we've just done, Rule/ECSI and Johnson Controls, I had to double check myself, make sure I got it right now. But no, I'm all for this project. So good job.
Okay.
I have a question,
Go ahead.
in reference to the estimated payback with the incentive of 3.78 a year. Is that $3?
Three.
Point,
3.78 of a
78,
year.
okay.
Right. So just under 4 years, we pay back the money
The
that we put
percentage.
into it. So yeah, it's a
okay,
pretty quick.
percentage wise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else with any good comments about this? I'm glad we don't have any bad comments. All those in favor of the adoption of this resolution signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. All
It
those
is.
opposed?
Okay.
Ayes have it. Moving on to our next item is our discussion of the fuel budget. Now, is that going to be the people that use the most down there at the end of the table?
So, Mr. Chairman, I'll start off and introduce the topic, and I'd like to bring in the finance team to help talk about
Sure,
this.
absolutely.
So, as you've experienced in your personal lives with fuel costs in the last, couple months, it's risen. We're also looking at the same situation with the county fuel. We supply the highway department purchases and oversees the fuel for not just the highway units, but law enforcement, animal control, everybody who's got a pool car. We oversee those fuel purchases as well. We do a joint fuel purchase with the city of Peoria to get the best price. But we've been looking at it since the cost has gone up, comparing last year at this time to this year at this time, and the cost differentials, and also compared to what, frankly, what I budgeted last year for the fuel expenses. So asked our finance team to take a look at the numbers and just kind of give us kind of an overview where we're currently at. Obviously, we're going to be watching this as the year progresses, and so we're not asking for any actions, just to kind of update you, to show you where we're at compared to where we have been at. So I've asked Heather and Julie if they can put the finance caps on and take a look at that.
Thank you, Amy. So she contacted us recently with this, and this is more of an FYI to the committee right now. We're not coming forward with a budget amendment request at this time, but we will likely have one later in the year as we continue to monitor this. Just since this January, diesel prices that the county has been fortunately, the highway department's been tracking the dollar amount that we pay per gallon every time we have an invoice. Diesel prices have increased since January 1st, and unleaded has increased 14% since January 1st. And, with all the uncertainty with kind of everything in the market and the world right now, we're anticipating this increasing over the summer as well. So they're currently at about a third of the way through the budget as of the first quarter of the year. So we're already trending higher. So just to keep, we're going to keep monitoring this with them, and we'll come back to you with a number when we have kind of a better idea as to what we may need.
Jim?
So I guess this is more a question for Scott, because I know you can't change out dump trucks and tractors and stuff like that from fuel. But when does this start the conversation, even though I said electric's going up, about like planning and zoning vehicles? Have we ever done the analysis for whether the cost of an electric vehicle would pay for itself versus the fuel? Because we do, police cruisers obviously aren't going to work, but we do have like some vehicles in our fleet that we could start transitioning away from fossil fuel cars.
Great question, Mr. Dillon. We've not done that analysis yet, but it's something that we've got in the back of our heads. We just haven't gotten there yet, and I'm sure as we start to pull together the FY23 budget, we'll start doing some of that analysis. And the question for us, like using the planning and zoning side as an example, are we going to want to maybe try and buy local, i.e. buying a Rivian vehicle versus something other than that, or if we do that, are we going to pay the premium that Rivian is charging, because they're not granting discounts to units of government or to fleets. But obviously we'll look at that and see if there's what the best solution for us is.
Well, and then we also have juvenile officers for probation and stuff that go around. There's certain vehicles we're not going to be able to get away from going, but
right.
Or even if we just started the transition of hybrid vehicles where you have a combination, or I just would be curious to see, like, from a financial analysis, as if it's beneficial. I know the costs of them are extremely high still right now, so are we better off waiting to second generation where the prices start coming down? And I don't even know if there's ever been discussion since the state of Illinois has liked promoting Rivian as much, which I don't think they can keep up with their demand currently, but would there potentially be a state buy with Rivian that we could be part of?
It's possible. All those things need to be on the table, absolutely.
They only produce trucks, right?
And SUVs.
Yeah, one truck, one SUV, and then the Amazon delivered vehicle. That's exclusive to Amazon.
Some of the things that'd be oversized for.
Yeah. I think they got some other ones coming out too, though.
I have a question. So, as far as budgetary wise, do we do chargebacks on the fuel? Like, does the sheriff's department?
Yeah, so the sheriff's department doesn't specifically, but there's a line in the general county department of the general fund budget that pays the fuel for all of the general fund departments, which would be probation, sheriff, planning and zoning, coroner. Those for sure. I'm probably forgetting one or two at the moment. But.
So this isn't just a very specific area of the budget that's affected. It's not spiderwebbing out to
Correct.
Departments.
Any other comments? Thank all of you people for your input and so forth. Moving on to our last item of business, miscellaneous. If anyone has anything, it's a good welfare. Rob.
I don't know if everybody saw the press release, but Glenn is going to be severely affected this week. It's Wednesday, I believe. The water company is going to shut one lane of Glenn down, so it'll be one-way traffic from Knoxville to Sheridan. So you won't be able to go the other direction. So does that also mean does construction going to start shortly after the utilities are moved, or?
The bid letting is scheduled for, I think, this Friday.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
Corinne?
The utilities are trying to get out ahead on Glen Avenue, try to get some relocation work done before the construction starts. The contractor's not on board yet. The contract hasn't been let yet.
So the bid letting is Friday. and the state has 45 days to execute a contract. So realistically, you're looking at August for road construction. So.
But utilities is already in that area, aren't they? They're not?
They have to move utilities.
Yeah, the water
moving
main,
water.
the water main has to be moved. I think power poles are fairly okay, but the water main's the big one. So.
Right now, they're looking at starting on Thursday through July 1st. So
But
it'll be a
somewhere
little
else
bit of
I
time.
saw the utilities.
We will probably see construction in June.
There was
I'm
another
thinking too
area
far
here in
ahead.
the city that I saw.
Road construction probably start in June.
Okay, so it could start at the same time as utilities are finishing up, construction can begin. So this is pretty much the start of
Yes.
the construction of Glen.
Yes.
So those residents should
They should get ready to have
be
that
ready.
mess for a while.
Okay. And I do want to thank Amy. She's been keeping me updated and trying to keep the residents updated. The residents who live north of Glen have other outs. They can get out onto Knoxville, but Glen Crest is locked by Glen. Getting in and out, there's only 2 entrances, exits, and they're both on Glen. So they are concerned, and we've been trying to address those concerns, making sure that they know that that some of their seniors that live there are on oxygen and they're afraid that they won't be able to get their deliveries. And so we do understand that, and we're just trying to tell them that the end is going to be worth the struggle. So thank you both.
The improvement of that road will be tremendous.
It'll be so much safer. I mean, I every time I see somebody walking down that road, my stomach turns because it's not a safe pedestrian road at all.
Okay, anything else for good and welfare? Kate, are you with us?
I am.
You got anything for the good and welfare?
No.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, we'll see you when we see you. Have a good time.
You too, thanks.
All right, then this meeting is adjourned.
Kate, you too.
Jeff, I know I should know this question, but
Did I
my
scare you?
dad